This is the Earth. At a time when dinosaurs roamed a lush and fertile planet. A podcast, just 45 minutes long, changed all that. It hit with the force of 10,000 nuclear weapons. A trillion jokes about the movie's characters and nitpicks about its plot hurtled into the atmosphere, creating a suffocating blanket of criticism that other podcasts were powerless to penetrate for 1,000 years. It happened before. It will happen again. It's just a question of when. Hello and welcome to episode 134 of the How to Survive podcast. 134 episodes, but it's not the end of the world. This week we're talking about Armageddon. Joining me as ever is Chris Morris.
Hello.
Chris, you call me by your name and I'll call you by mine, okay?
Okay, Chris.
Too confusing.
Yeah.
Let's get back to it. Armageddon is the movie. Michael Bay is the director.
I wonder if any podcast has ever gone from Call Me By Your Name to Armageddon so quickly.
Only here will you get that frenetic pacing.
Yeah.
Speaking of frenetic pacing, the movie is available on Now TV. That's where we watched it.
Yeah.
So if you've got a subscription to that, or Sky, yeah, you can get it on there probably.
Yeah.
Or just don't.
I reckon wherever you are, whatever time it is, put Channel 5 on. It's on now. Armageddon is on, especially if it's Saturday, post 7 o'clock.
Yep, Armageddon. I hadn't seen this maybe since it came out, roughly around that time.
Right.
And,
wow.
Yeah, if I was impressed when I was 6, well, I can see why.
Yeah. And it stars Elijah Wood and Morgan Freeman as the president. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
good.
and it's got a sequel called Angel Has Fallen. That's coming out this year, do you know? Because he was president in that as well.
Right.
Morgan Freeman was president in Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
And London Has Fallen.
Yeah.
And now Angel Has Fallen.
Oh, right. That's not the movie that I was referencing.
No, Deep Impact.
Yes.
I know. I was pretending I didn't know.
I see, right.
Which president.
You pretended so well that maybe, just maybe, the Academy skipped out one of the nominees this year.
I digress from the point.
Yeah.
The point is we're going to talk about Armageddon.
Yeah, and times are wasting, Joe, because there's a meteor hurtling towards us.
If there was, I would not be wasting my time talking about Armageddon.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yes.
I'm going to recap the plot for you.
Please do.
And there will be spoilers ahead, as if the movie couldn't be spoiled by anyone other than Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for these short messages.
Little Richard, me and you, man. You know what I'm saying? We going to the top, baby. Big time. Somebody dial 911.
What hit us?
Small asteroid fragments this morning. How big were those?
Those were nothing. The size of basketballs and Volkswagens.
This new one you're tracking, how big?
It's the size of Texas, Mr. President. It's what we call a global killer. The end of mankind.
Half the world will be incinerated by the heat blast, and the rest will freeze to death in nuclear winter. Basically the worst parts of the Bible.
Hitting a rock from the outside will do the job.
So we nuke this thing from the inside? How?
We drill. We're bringing the world's best deep core driller.
The United States government has just asked us to save the world.
We're talking about space, right? Outer space? This is like deep blue hero stuff.
I'm there.
I'm with you.
Beam me up, Scotty.
So, Chris, a quick cap replot ahead of our discussion, and I've got 5 words for you. What the fuck is happening?
Right. Okay.
A cataclysmic meteor shower destroys the space shuttle Atlantis as it orbits Earth, with meteors eventually raining down on major North American cities and causing mayhem.
Yeah. New York in particular.
Yeah. and specifically.
Yes.
A group of NASA scientists, led by Dan Truman, discover that the shower was caused by a much bigger meteor, the size of Texas, and it's inbound and will strike the Earth in 18 days, destroying humanity. Oh dear. The NASA team accept the input of a range of scientists, but are eventually talked out of all competing ideas by Dr. Ronald Quincy, who explains that simply bombing the asteroid would only scorch it, and that their only hope is to land on the meteor, bore 800 feet into it, and plant a thermonuclear warhead inside it.
Yeah, if they just blew it up on the surface, it would just make the meteor angrier. It would just fly faster towards the Earth.
You say that, but that seems to be basically what the movie thinks.
Yeah. Wait until they start going, the meteor's angry because we're trying to blow it up.
Of course, planting this warhead is no easy task, and there's only one team fit for the job.
Yeah.
A group of Special Forces Air Force pilots who are ready and willing to learn how to drill and head on the mission immediately.
Yeah.
But NASA overlooks them in favour of another team.
Yeah.
Harry Stamper runs a deep-sea drilling operation with a crew of dangerous, predatory misanthropes. We are introduced to Harry.
A group of people who society has deemed only fit to be put out in the middle of the ocean, where they cannot harm anyone other than each other.
But harm they do.
Yeah.
We're introduced to Harry as he pollutes the world's oceans, barrages a peaceful protest, and then attempts to kill a man by firing a shotgun into a crowded area because the man slept with Harry's daughter, which Harry takes as a personal insult. No reason is given.
Yeah.
The man in question is AJ, a talented drill operator played by Ben Affleck. The rest of the rig's crew are Bear, a muscle-bound gentle giant played by Michael Clark Duncan, Rockhound, a paedophile played by Steve Buscemi,
Yeah.
Oscar Choice, a man played by Owen Wilson, and a variety of other people who are there to make up the numbers and eventually die on the meteor.
Yeah. Michael Clark Duncan, there's a story that goes around about him on Armageddon, which was that he got the job and then because of his like effervescent personality, and then on the set and during filming he was being much more reserved, and it was because he was intimidated by the acting talents of Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi.
Really?
Yes. And Michael Bay and Bruce Willis had to take him to one side and say, listen, it's Armageddon.
He won an Oscar.
The film is called Armageddon.
He won an Oscar.
Yeah, it might have been... I know, it was before that, wasn't it? Green Mile was 98, I think.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Oscar winner.
Yeah. Intimidated by the acting talents of Bruce Willis and the rest of the ensemble cast.
To be fair, Steve Buscemi is a fine actor.
Yeah, no, but I don't... I'm not
in
sure
this movie, he's playing Crazy Eyes.
Yeah,
but
yeah. And basically, Michael Bay had to explain to him that if you can't replicate what you're doing in the auditions, we're going to have to fire you.
Fuck.
And then he did, and all's well that ends well.
A good thing he did, because he's the standout part of this movie. Not forgetting, of course, among the crew, Grace, Harry Stamper's daughter, who seems to be given presidential level clearance to enter any area she wants on both the rig and NASA's base and every place she goes.
Yeah.
All this despite being treated by all characters as a cross between a 5-year-old child and a Victoria's Secret model. Mm-hmm. And it is as creepy as it sounds.
Yes, yeah, it is, yeah.
For some reason, NASA convinces Harry to go on the mission to the Meteor to drill into it and plant the bomb. He says he won't go without his crew. But, bound by that rarest of ironclad brotherhoods that is only found on a sparsely manned oil rig run by a murderous hothead, they all immediately agree. The group undergoes rigorous astronaut training. This seems very fun. On one occasion, the fat guy in the group gets worried, but is calmed down when Bruce Willis shouts at him. That is the only part of the training that goes wrong.
Yeah.
For some reason, the plan is to send the crew up in 2 space shuttles, one piloted by William Finchner, who has a number of lines, the other piloted by a mostly unseen character who has no lines. Guess who is going to die?
Yes. Yeah.
Both ships will dock on the ISS to refuel before orbiting around the moon like a slingshot and landing on the rear of the asteroid, there to drill into it and blow it up. For some reason, AJ and Grace have a picnic in the exhaust of a rocket booster. Harry looks on as they kiss and caress each other, which is creepy. But he walks away just in time to miss AJ asking Grace to marry him. She says yes, and for some reason they drive to a shack and they share a kiss under the stars. No reason is given.
No. This is also the
sultry tones.
strange tones of Steve Tyler.
Liv Tyler's father.
Yes.
Who sings over her making out with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
As if the movie wasn't weird enough.
Yeah.
But their wedding must be put on hold, as the Earth-saving mission is now well underway. The crew sets off, and the launch goes exactly as planned. Both shuttles arrive at the ISS, which is being run by one incompetent and overworked Russian cosmonaut. So for some reason, the space station malfunctions and explodes, but all hands escape unharmed. Heavy one cosmonaut. They slingshot around the moon with finesse, but approaching the Meteor, they have to navigate many much smaller space rocks. One shuttle, containing only minor characters, crashes, and all the characters are presumed dead, despite only 2 deaths being shown. The other shuttle lands safely on the asteroid, and the crew set to work drilling into it. For some reason, the shuttle's pilot is part of a strange secondary scheme by the Secret Service to detonate the bomb on the surface of the asteroid, despite having travelled all that way to drill into it.
It's like a backup plan, isn't it?
Which they put
fail-safe.
Yeah, but they seem to go for the backup plan before they've exhausted the chance to do the front-up plan.
Yeah.
He is thwarted, and they continue drilling. They realise they landed off course, and Rockhound explains that they landed on a gigantic metal plate. It appears that the plate is made from a previously unexplored space metal, which proves to be too much for the crew's puny machinery, which is also destroyed. Eventually, the drill operator is blown up and fired into space, and all hope seems lost. To make matters worse, Rockhound opens fire on his friends with a machine gun. Why? It's an open and shut case of space dementia.
Yes, space dementia.
AJ, Bear, and the cosmonaut show up with another drilling unit. For some reason, they survived the crash and made a daring journey to meet the rest of the crew. It's unclear how they knew where to go. They begin drilling. The machine starts overheating, and Harry tells AJ to stop drilling. AJ keeps drilling and begs Harry to trust him just for once. Harry thinks about it and allows AJ to keep drilling. This exchange is the only scene so far where Harry hasn't threatened to kill AJ for no reason. They try to put the bomb in the hole, but realise it is broken. For some reason, William Fichtner has a handheld trigger for the warhead, and they draw straws to decide who will detonate it. AJ loses and says his goodbyes. Harry volunteers to walk him out, but as soon as he gets the chance, Harry pulls AJ's oxygen tube out of his helmet and throws him back on the ship. AJ and Harry shout at each other, saying, "I love you!" This is the speediest resolution to a character arc in human history, and it's perhaps the least believable part of the plot.
Yeah, imagine saying goodbye to your partner as the lift doors are closing, like in a busy train station, and that's how truncated it is.
Yes. Yeah. And half an hour ago, they were threatening to kill each other.
Yeah.
Harry has a satellite link conversation with Grace. Harry explains he won't be coming back. Despite having been briefed on every aspect of the mission, sat in the control room for the duration of the movie, and privy to even the most top secret parts of the mission, Grace says, "I don't understand." Then, in a final act of machismo, Harry gives his permission for her to marry AJ. He then blows up the asteroid.
Yeah, saving the world.
Saving the world. I thought they'd play Not Gonna Miss a Thing. Yeah.
Right, yeah. No.
They didn't.
No. A rare show of restraint from Michael Bay.
Yes. The crew flies back to Earth. Clips of farm towns around the USA with old-timey pickup trucks and young boys wearing dungarees with no shirts play out for some reason. The characters reunite with their loved ones and strippers. And the most impactful moment of the film comes when AJ gives Dan Truman Harry's flight patch. In an earlier scene, Dan lamented not being able to earn a flight patch because he was injured out of astronaut training. Despite Dan having no obvious impact on any of the events in the film, it's the thought that counts, and this small gesture is the most human act of the film. And then the film ends, and we are out of our misery.
Yeah, what an experience.
It's a weird one, isn't it? is a weird film. Michael Bay is a strange man.
Yes, you get that impression.
What? Like, has he ever met another human being?
Yeah. Well, he didn't write it, did he? J.J. Abrams was one of the writers, I noticed. Not much of a mystery box in this film, but unless the mystery box is hurtling, towards Earth at 500,000 miles an hour.
You say one of the writers, because this is a movie that is designed by committee.
Well, there is like 16 different writers who at one stage or another had a part in writing the script.
Yeah.
It was also, obviously we alluded to it earlier, Deep Impact was out around the same time.
Yes.
2 weeks beforehand, I think.
Yeah, which is much the same story.
Yeah.
But it's more a human interest.
Yeah, it's a better film is what it is.
Yes.
And I think what happened basically was that a Disney executive had dinner with one of the Deep Impact writers who told him all of the elements of the plot, and Disney like very quickly put this into production to like counter it.
It's weird. There's a lot of that.
Bizarre.
There's a lot of those sort of movie pairings through history.
Yeah,
You've got like Ants and A Bug's Life comes to mind.
Yeah. Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
Yeah.
Like you're right. There are often sort of strange coincidental pairings of films.
I'm sure they're not that coincidental in real life, but what did you think of Armageddon? Was it good?
Well, sort of, but it's good in the way that you sort of hate yourself for enjoying it at all.
Yes.
Because everything about it is so rubbish and so stupid, and all of its like politics completely tasteless and repulsive, but it's nonetheless quite an enjoyable experience on a sort of like ridiculous, overblown blockbuster level.
It's like it reminded me, to take a contemporary, of something like Fast and the Furious,
right?
One of the new
just
ones.
So like just knowingly stupid, and over the top, and ridiculous. Yeah,
and they have to deliver the most like po-faced lines,
right? Like, taking itself like just so seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a very good popcorn movie, isn't it? Like, I watched it with my partner. We had, I think, fish and chips.
Yep.
We had a couple of beers. We had some popcorn. Can't go wrong, really.
You can't. I watched it in bed, and I also ate a bag of popcorn.
Yeah. It's that sort of film.
It is. And, it's not one to stress you out, is it?
No, it's not. Despite the stakes of the film. It's shit, but it's good shit.
It knows it's shit. That's why it's good.
Yeah.
I think later Michael Bay productions don't have that like tongue-in-cheek nature.
No.
Like Transformers is like, he wants that to be like a gritty war film.
Yeah,
basically.
and Transformers just isn't as interesting or as compelling. Like the stakes of Transformers are all like, fucking
we can't let
Megatron might do this and the planet whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whereas this is like, there's a big rock coming for the Earth. Quickly send men into space to blow it up with a big bomb. It's like, fucking, of course. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Great. Bruce Willis is in it. Fantastic. I'm well up for that. It's just that, basically, isn't it? There's no other way to describe it as just like sheer popcorn nonsense.
Do you think this is the last movie Bruce Willis actually cared?
I don't think he cared in this. Like,
it's just like
he's basically just sort of. I mean, there's not a single scene that you'd point to and go like, Bruce Willis is like turning in a great performance here. Like the one thing that came to my mind was when him and Billy Bob Thornton are like having a drink, like the night before the launch.
Yeah. And that's when he tells him about
that's when he tells him, I was going to be an astronaut, and then I had to like get fitted for calipers or whatever.
Yeah. And therefore I became the head of NASA.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's how it works. And he like, it's just. But the whole time through that scene, I was just thinking, like, what, is this all Bruce Willis wants to do? Like, with his last night on Earth, he's going to, like, just sit there with a man that he's known for 3 weeks and just go, like, it's shit. Yeah. Like, it's... What?
I could have been an astronaut. I could have been a ballet dancer, man.
It's like, I could have been an astronaut. I drilled stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going into space, so Shouldn't have. Yeah, great.
It's grand.
But it's like, what did you think of it? It's like there's no other opinion to have about it, is there? It's like it's exactly that's it, isn't it? Yeah. It's like it's so finely tuned by such a huge number of people to just be raucously entertaining. Yeah, that it's impossible to not. I think enjoy it on that level.
In the first 10 minutes, there were a number of things that offended me.
Right.
But then after that, I was like, it's not worth being offended by this. It's just so stupid.
It's not aged, because it's 20 years old this year?
20 years old, yeah.
So like, it's not aged very well. Those 20 years haven't been kind to it.
No. The biggest problems that I picked out.
Yeah. And we're not really saying, like, I'm sure you could pick apart the special effects.
Yeah, but they're fine.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you can. Well, there's other podcasts where we've discussed special effects that are ropey. Yeah, but that's usually when they're meant to be good.
Yeah, and
or they're modern and they aren't up to scratch.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, the things that I didn't like in terms of its age were shots of people falling out of recently destroyed skyscrapers.
What, in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening
South
scenes,
Towers.
The opening scenes of New York being destroyed, they have not aged well at all. No. It's a very pre 9/11 film.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it,
in Adam Curtis's hypernormalization, he basically splits the world into pre and post 9/11, as you'd expect. Yeah. And he says, like, this is one of the clips he plays. There's a load of clips from the end of the 90s. Which are all like disaster movies, and they all show the Empire State Building blowing up, the World Trade Center exploding. Yeah, and you just can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah, I noticed there is a shot of, like a hysterical action movie shot of dozens of people falling out of the sky, out of a destroyed skyscraper in New York City, and you just you think that like. Yeah, there's no way that you can do that now.
You can't,
or would want to.
You can't see the joy in that. No. They must have been like, when they made that, like, this is an exciting, like, oh man.
Yeah, it's disaster movie fodder, isn't it? But like, it can't happen now.
The other disaster, less well known, is when the rig is basically blowing up and they're all running to the stations. Yeah. Have you seen Deepwater Horizon?
No.
And that's about an oil rig disaster.
Right.
It's a very good film. It's absolutely harrowing though. Right. And it's a true story about an oil rig disaster. Okay. And all I could think about was, if this is like that...
This film is not Deepwater Horizon.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd say the things that have aged the worst, by far, are the politics of the film. I mean, it almost seems redundant to talk about the politics of a Michael Bay film, or indeed a film that's called Armageddon.
No, exactly.
But, like, anything to do with gender and sexuality in it is
appalling.
It's completely ridiculous. Like, having a group of grown adult men discussing then 21-year-old Liv Tyler's like sexuality and body is grim beyond belief, especially when it's Steve Buscemi, which sounds harsh. Yeah. That is harsh, but he is obviously typecast in a role. Yeah, certainly at the end of in the late 90s, Fargo and Big Lebowski.
Yeah, and all the Adam Sandler movies he did where he plays like a homeless person with like some sort of syndrome.
Yeah, exactly, right. He, like, they rewrote the character after Steve Buscemi was cast to make him into a, like, sex pest, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And Steve Buscemi took the role because it was a genius. So he auditioned for the role because it's like he's a geological genius. And it's like, oh, that would be fun to play like a genius for once. And then they rewrote it so that he's a sex pest.
Fucking great.
Hell. And all the jokes about him having sex with underage women.
It's bizarre.
It's all just like laughed off. The particularly the one that sticks in my head for some reason as well is the Owen Wilson line about Liv Tyler where he says,
I've got it written down. Right, I'll deliver it to you. I'll do it in Owen Wilson's voice. Okay. Wow. Okay, but Harry, all we're saying is we're talking about a kid who's coming into her own right now. And she's getting curious about her body. And she's exploring her sexuality. And you know what? That's a natural thing.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis is like, you're her age. What do you know about her? It's fucking...
Shut
what
up.
are you talking about?
It's disgusting.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other misogynistic line. I mean, there's a misogynistic line
every 30 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah. But the guy who discovers the comet.
Right. Yeah.
And he's just like...
He's got a wife who's like going, why do you fucking why are you sitting in your like enormous NASA telescope that you somehow have access to?
Yeah.
Like there's never explained. Like if you haven't seen Armageddon or you haven't seen it in some time, the person who discovers the asteroid is like a hick guy. He's living in a trailer.
Former Navy man.
He lives in a trailer in the desert with his like shouty wife.
Yeah.
But you're introduced to him looking through like a telescope that's the size of a building. Yeah. And that's not an exaggeration.
It's one he has to sit in.
Yeah, it's literally like the engineer seat in Alien. Like it's insane, right? It's genuinely like the biggest telescope that's ever been made. And he's sat in it going, oh wow, look at this asteroid coming. And then his wife like comes in the door and goes, Harry, the dinner's ready. I made you grits or whatever. Like, and you're just like, what is happening? Like, is this right?
And he says, can you go get my address? And she's like, I told you once, you're not spending any more time on this. And he goes, go get my goddamn. And it's like, all right, so he's abusive.
And then he names
the asteroid Dottie,
right?
And he
after
says,
his wife,
because she's like big and wants to kill everyone, or
big and she's gonna wipe out all.
In any case, they all go like.
The joke writes itself. You can you put the pieces together.
But it's not like the thing is what I don't like about it is if it was like, oh, I named it after my ex-wife because she was a bitch, right?
Right.
That's not a very funny joke, but. The fact that he sat in the room with his wife when he delivers that joke, looks her in the eye and says, I named it after my wife because she's such a fucking bitch. I fucking hate her. And he's like looking at her when he's saying it. And she's like...
Yeah, all the music drops out.
Yeah. And she's just like...
He looks down the camera lens.
All she wants is to make him his dinner.
Yeah.
She wants to spend time with her husband. And he's just like, no, mate, she's a fucking bitch. And... I'm going to name this natural disaster after her.
Yeah. And it's like if you could retrospectively name Hitler and you named Hitler after your wife.
Exactly, yeah. It's crazy. And then he says, like, no one in the film's like, that's not very funny. That's not very fair. And therefore, the film takes on his misogyny.
Yeah.
It shoulders it and it's like...
I'll tell you what, there is one half-decent joke which I sort of enjoyed. And that's when Harry, in exchange for them agreeing to go up and destroy the Meteor, the drilling team have like a list of requests, basically. And it's things like, oh, he's got some parking tickets that he wants to pay off.
Yeah.
And one of them, his request is, oh, can you tell us who really killed JFK?
Yeah.
And like the NASA guy and the military guy sort of look at each other like with a side eye. And that made me laugh just because it's like, I mean, you probably would, wouldn't you? You probably would. Like, what really is in Area 51?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Who are you meant to be rooting for in this? I mean, because the reason I say that, in previous episodes of the How to Survive podcast, we've discussed the likability of certain characters. And I always say it doesn't help your movie if your protagonist is completely unlikable.
Sure.
I'm not the first person in the world to say that, I'm sure. But every character in this movie is deeply unlikable.
Yeah.
You've got, obviously, Bruce Willis, Harry, who opens, as I said before, like smashing golf balls into a peaceful
he's an actual
protest.
Psychopath, isn't he? Yeah.
Shoots a shotgun into his friend's, like, where they're just having coffee because he wants to kill a man for having sex with his daughter. He's a maniac.
Yeah.
You've got the president of the United States who says every suggestion is horse shit. And it's like, you know, this isn't good. The astronomer we mentioned who's just upsettingly misogynistic. Steve Buscemi, who is off, like sometimes he's a joy to watch in things like, I mean, Boardwalk Empire, right? He's amazing in that. And he doesn't play the creepy, like weird guy. He plays someone who is a real fleshed out character.
Yeah.
And it's good. In this one, it's just like, he's a pedophile. As if that's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
What's that weird shot when he's just riding a Harley through like the police blockade?
Yeah.
Fucking weird. The B plot of the movie, although it's more like a Z plot, is the crew member who visits his family, who he appears to have abandoned the thick end of a decade ago.
I'm not sure whether it seems like he walked out on it. I got the impression that maybe their relationship fell apart, and then he ended up, maybe he did something bad, but it doesn't, I think the film is trying to say that whatever he did doesn't deserve him being like exiled from his child for a decade.
I read it as he'd abandoned them and he was a deadbeat, and this was his chance to make amends before.
Well, possibly.
In any case, it's an insulting end to the film when, having had 3 seconds of conversation with the character, his wife, he is immediately back in a relationship with her. It's weird.
Yeah.
But ultimately, every single character is deeply unpleasant company. You wouldn't want to be left with any of them on a desert island because they're just insane and sarcastic and rude and hateful even to each other, and they're meant to be friends.
Yeah, I'll tell you who the protagonist of the film is. It's Billy Bob Thornton's character.
Yeah.
Because he is the one who is dealing with the prospect of the disaster. He's coming up with a solution. He's trying to maintain the possibility of that solution against all the odds, be they the Meteor itself or the sort of bureaucracy of NASA and the military. And he's the one who ends up succeeding. And in a sort of sentimental way, he may not ever get to go to space, but he has a thing that, patch from an astronaut, and he's saved the world. So in that way, he is a hero.
Yeah.
In the way that he
wants to be.
In the way that he wanted to be when he was a child, and like projected that onto the idea of being an astronaut. But instead, he has become a hero despite his
despite having to be the head of NASA instead.
Yes, exactly. Despite his lowly position.
It's a weird one. I agree with you. He's got it's almost like he's Hail Caesar.
Right.
Josh Brolin's character in that, like rush around.
Yeah. He's like just dealing with shit that's going on.
That would have been a good film. Like him, like just like trying to get everyone organised.
Yeah.
That would have been good. There, maybe. We mentioned earlier Grace's appalling treatment as a character.
Sure.
The Owen Wilson line, appalling, but every line is disgusting.
Yeah.
The film, as I mentioned, seems to be confused about whether she's an adult woman or a 5-year-old girl. I wonder whether the script went through a change, because that final scene when Bruce Willis is talking to her through the satellite link, she said, "I don't understand. I don't get it." And it's like you must. Either you're developmentally disabled. That's what
I think you're coming down. I think I interpreted all that as just a bit of sort of, it's just movie writing, isn't it? It's just that. So, yeah.
But I thought,
I don't think it's suggesting that she like literally doesn't understand.
No, I know, but it's every line she has is like she has no like agency. I don't know. It's like
I mean, she's
like she's a child.
Liv Tyler is wasted, and it's not like Liv Tyler is the greatest screen actress of our time, but she is certainly wasted in this. But she's not. The thing is that it's less that she's a terrible character and more that she's treated dreadfully, because she's not a cliche female character in that she's not like a damsel.
Right, yeah.
She's not a lust or a sex object. She has agency and confidence and a will of her own.
Yes.
And, she's not in peril other than, any more than the rest of humanity is. And so she's not like Friday the 13th girl level bad, or like Amy Smart in Crank bad, or like any of those sorts of tropey female characters. It's more that every other character and the director's attitude towards women is so repugnant, and she is the main female presence in the film. So all of that is focused on her.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for her. But she's not necessarily notably bad. It's just like everything else in the film lowers the waterline so far.
So she can't get out. The problem, I agree. She's not a damsel in distress. But it's also not as if like her narrative is that, you know, she loves AJ and she wants her dad to be there.
Well, it's more that she like, despite that horrible Owen Wilson line, it is that she's growing up and she, like, Harry has to reconcile his desire to mollycoddle his daughter with the fact that his parenting has made her like this, and she's strong and fiercely independent and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But he still wants to treat her as a sort of princess because he's a, you know, shit dad.
But it's not as if she needed her father's blessing to marry AJ, which seems to be the crux of the film. She was going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
And it's as ridiculous as that is as a concept of saying, like, would the movie have been improved by her saying, I won't marry you, AJ, unless my dad gives his permission? At least it would have been like a reason for that entire exchange to take place.
I guess so. I think, it's less that he's saying you're literally not allowed to marry him, and more that it's just he's giving his blessing, isn't he?
But he tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Mate,
I'm not going to try and sit here and justify Michael Bay's.
I'm not just trying to justify it either, or just criticise you. I think it's like, it's just appalling, and it's not as if this is like a bum note in Michael Bay's career.
No, he's pretty representative, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a terrible portrayer of women on screen. It's appalling stuff. I have a theory, by the way, that Michael Bay has never had a normal job.
Right.
That's because no one in this film has a job that is anything like what a job would be.
Right.
Like, what is Billy Bob Thornton's job? Like, he's simultaneously the head of NASA, a ballistics technician, a failed astronaut, a negotiator, and a high-ranking government official. Jason Isaacs' character is an astrophysicist, also a ballistics technician, also an explosives expert, and there's a scene where he's wearing a headset and watching the events unfold on the Meteor, and then reporting back to Mission Control. So what the fuck is his job? Harry Stamper is an oil rig owner who appears to have had all his money made as a drill engineer, of such renown that he patented his own type of drill, but never used it because he's just independently wealthy and can just do anything he wants anyway. And he's also the staff manager on his rig where he works like a 9-to-5 job. Yeah.
It reminds me of, there's a Mitchell and Webb sketch where there's two TV writers and they're being interviewed about their new TV show. And invariably it's like either a medical drama or a legal drama. But the implication is that, well, it's not even an implication. The joke is that the writers know nothing about the whatever it is the TV show's about. Right. And so they just go like, oh yeah, well, we didn't do any research per se for like emergency medical doctors or whatever their show is called. And then you see a clip from the thing and it's just like cameras like spinning round and like dramatic music and like doctors just like striding in and going like, this patient is very, very poorly and like getting like giant needles and stuff. Like, it's just, that's what this is like from a science perspective.
It basically, yes. Well, I think like they are all basically movie directors, right?
Yeah.
They have like unlimited power, unlimited budgets to do anything they want to do.
Yeah.
And they make it up as they go along, much like Michael Bay. So, Chris, you know a thing or two about... You were talking about Deep Impact earlier.
Yeah.
You know a thing or two about asteroid movies, do you?
Right. Yeah.
Let's play my quiz. How do you solve a problem like Meteor? Meteor.
What is the line?
Maria. How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Meteor.
Meteor. Oh, so in this quiz I'm going to give you...
Yeah, I get it.
different movies.
Yeah.
How do they solve the problem like Meteor?
Sure.
Question 1.
Mm-hmm.
In 1979's Meteor, called Meteor in some places, Sean Connery played a scientist who tried to stop a meteor destroying the Earth.
Right.
With generous usage of stock footage and dodgy scale miniatures, the meteor itself was represented by a large ball of light and emitted the sounds of a jet engine as it fell to Earth.
Right.
That's from Den of Geek. Praise you.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how do the film's characters try to stop the meteor? Is it A, by rigging all of the Earth's navies, air forces and space programs, engines and rockets together and attaching them to the meteor to change its direction? Or B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
Is it B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
Correct. In 1998's Deep Impact, Morgan Freeman played the President of America, deciding how to solve
I know the answer to this one.
the issue of an 8-mile wide meteor on its way to destroy Earth. Did they try to solve it by A, using jet propulsion to temporarily wobble the Earth off its axis, causing a 1-month ice age but avoiding the path of the comet? Or B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
I believe it's B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs.
Correct. Although they're relatively...
They're qualified success.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Earth's atmosphere takes care of the rest anyway.
Yes.
Question 3.
Mm-hmm.
In the day the sky exploded from 1958, not to be confused with the day the Earth exploded, a cluster of asteroids headed for Earth is blocked by the moon, saving Earth from the worst of it. However, a smaller cluster breaks through and is still headed to Earth. Did they try to solve it by A, evacuating the entire Earth on ships bound for Mars, or B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
Is it B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
Correct. Question 4.
Yeah.
In Asteroid from 1997,
I've never even heard of that.
It's a TV movie.
Wow. Okay.
2 asteroids called Eros and Helios are headed to Earth. This is from the Wikipedia page as a quick explanation. Helios would hit with the force of 1,000 Hiroshima bombs and generate temperatures 5 times hotter than the sun in the area of impact. Everything within a 150-mile radius would be destroyed, and the impact would also spray molten rock another 70 miles. How do they solve the problem? Is it A, they attach lasers to 3 fighter jets and shoot the asteroids into smaller pieces? Or B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
Is it B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs?
No, it was
I knew there was going to be one.
Yeah,
lasers on fighter jets.
It failed though. And
then they had to blow up with nuclear bombs.
No, there were nuclear bombs in that one. And question 5, final question. In Battle of the Worlds, a gigantic asteroid is headed to Earth. One scientist claims it will miss Earth, and it does, by 95,000 miles. But then it enters into orbit around the Earth. They realise that this isn't an asteroid, it's a planet controlled by alien intelligence, and it wants to destroy Earth. How do they solve the problem, Chris?
Yeah.
A, they negotiate sharing their orbital circuit around the Sun, so that the 2 planets never see each other but coexist. Or B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs.
Just for consistency, I'm going to say B, they blow it up with nuclear bombs.
Correct. So that's 4 out of 5.
Nice. Yeah.
And it seems the only time you didn't get it right is the only movie in history where they didn't try and blow it up with nuclear bombs.
Yes. Well, that leads us neatly onto How to Survive, because clearly that's the answer.
Yeah. As a quick note, I looked up the science behind Armageddon, and there's no real breakdown of the individual parts because it's all obviously just insane.
Yeah.
But one line that stuck out was, this wouldn't work, and then you'd have a nuclear asteroid.
Oh.
So don't do that.
No.
How would you survive in Armageddon?
Well, I mean, it's an obvious point to bring up straight off the bat, but surely it's easier to train astronauts to drill a hole than it is to drag a load of drillers who, if we're being kind, are not built for space travel. No. I think it's fair to say.
Even Michael Clark Duncan must be like...
Michael Clark Duncan is like a bodybuilder.
Shape.
Yeah. But he's in amazing shape if you want to be like 25 stone.
Yeah, you wouldn't send him on a space mission.
Imagine how much more fuel... like you could get 2 normal astronauts onto a space shuttle in his place.
And a drill.
Right. I mean, surely it's easier to train an astronaut to drill, or, you know, even argue with Bruce Willis when he says, "Oh, I'm just going to bring my own men." Don't just go, just go, well, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way that will work. And then, like, to just blindly trust his judgment when he says, "Oh, I want that guy who's like 20 stone and will obviously have a heart attack the second the shuttle launches." Yeah. And Owen Wilson, who's like, just like, he's like,
what does he do?
It's like he's in a fugue state throughout the film. It's like, it's bizarre. It's one of the strangest. It's like he's walked in from a Wes Anderson movie. It's just
a Pollyanna, isn't it?
It's like, bizarre.
It's really nice to be here.
Yeah. It's really strange. But like, there are a number of tests that you have to go through to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be physically and mentally capable.
Well, yeah.
And intellectually capable of the rigor to withstand the rigors of spaceflight.
Yeah.
Right. This in real life, I'm talking.
Yeah.
As well as in Armageddon, which we see some tests which are almost certainly not, you know.
They just put them in a plane.
Yeah, it's just stupid, right? Yeah. Like, every test that you have for people to make sure they're capable of space flight are necessary and important rules, right? Or else why would you have them in the first place, right? It's like saying, you know, we need someone to run, like, you might as well say, like, oh, we need someone to run 5 marathons in 5 days and then dig a hole.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll get this team of diggers, right, who've never run more than 5K in their lives.
Yeah.
They'll fail every baseline test that we have for people who are capable of running 5 marathons in 5 days. But we'll just send them on anyway with a couple of marathon runners. Like Mo Farah will go with them and Eddie Izzard. And then, like...
he's the one you think of.
Yeah, he's a famous marathon runner.
Yeah, true.
And they'll go along and we'll just hope it's fine.
Yeah.
Like... Surely it's easier to train astronauts. They're intelligent people, Joe. They've got to be.
They're using machinery.
Like,
if you'd
have Bruce Willis in the radio thing going, right, now press that switch. Oh, a little bit less.
Yeah, they've got instant link.
I mean, if you're listening and you are a deep sea oil rig drilling technician, I apologise for saying for belittling your work, but I will go on the record as saying that I believe drilling a hole in the ground is easier than learning how to withstand the rigors of space flight.
Yeah, and also use that equipment on an asteroid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so just to summarise...
Teach your astronauts how to drill, don't teach drillers how to be astronauts.
Yeah?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I rest my case. No further questions.
Yeah, it reminded me of a number of other films. The Right Stuff, Space Cowboys. Space Cowboys, the one with the old people going into space. I think it is. They were too old to get in the Apollo mission, but then they're like in their 70s. They can go on, like Tommy Lee Jones is in it, and Clint Eastwood.
Sounds great. I
remember there's a scene. I don't remember anything about it other than one scene where they're doing the eye test, and they all do it in one room together. Tommy Lee Jones does his, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, just past it." And Clint Eastwood, I think it's Clint Eastwood, I can't remember, despite having like inch-thick spectacles, gets everything correct with no glasses on.
Right.
And he says, my eyes aren't up to much, but my memory's perfect, because he had someone else do it.
Right.
The problem with that is...
Yeah, it's not a memory test, though, is it?
You were endangering your life and everyone else's.
Yeah.
Selfishly.
Yeah. If someone says, like, what is the computer console? Like, what's that warning message saying? You can't just remember a warning message that you read before.
You heard someone else say.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I've got a perfect memory. That's fine. But right now there's an alarm going off. Can you just read what that flashing light that I saw yesterday said? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Look, Clint. Yeah. So there's a quick How to Survive tip for Space Cowboys, if that is the film I'm thinking of.
Yeah, whatever that film is.
Quick How to Survive for Armageddon.
Yeah.
Why not just send up like 50 teams?
Yeah, all or nothing sort of situation.
Send the astronauts and send the drill teams.
Yeah.
And send like every drilling team on Earth and every astronaut team on Earth.
It's like a zero-sum game, isn't it? Like if you lose, everyone loses everything.
Every country in the world should be firing people into space to try and blow up the asteroid.
Yeah. It's like Sunshine, that film, the conceit of that is that the spaceship is like basically the last of Earth's resources they used to build the spaceship that they hope will restart the sun. And if that fails, then they're fucked.
Yep.
Like that makes sense that they would do that. Like the countries would club together and do that. Yeah.
Not for the Armageddon asteroid though.
No, because it's all about America.
It really is in this film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird. Another quick thought. From a basic design perspective, why would you build a nuclear bomb with a handheld trigger? Who's going to be willing to use that at the best of times?
Is it not just like a sort of fail-safe thing?
Still, like
but it worked out well because they needed it.
But if they built it with like a fuse,
but it might have gone off whenever. It's just as well that they had it. If anything, you should be saying build all nuclear bombs with a handheld trigger because the fate of humanity might rest on your ability to manually detonate it.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like in the end, it did help. But if that handheld trigger that he somehow had a 5-minute delay on it,
who's this a survival tip for?
Just anyone who builds a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, but the person who built the nuclear bomb isn't on the asteroid, is he?
That's true. Oh, so you're saying I'm basically.
You're basically saying
it's very well saying that, but that you couldn't have done it when you're on the asteroid.
Yeah, and also the scientist who built the nuclear bomb. It's good that he did include a handheld trigger because when it came to it, that was what was required to save humanity.
But surely he'd say, if I'm the nuclear bomb designer, I'm going to say, well, we've set this with a impact detonation because you drop it out of a plane.
Yeah,
we've got a timer on it in case you want to leave it under a parked car or something. Well, the one thing I wouldn't put on it is a trigger because who's going to be the one signing up to pull that trigger?
Yeah, but I mean, there is a timer on it which they then disable because they cut the wire.
Reconnect it. Yeah, why not?
On an asteroid.
If that's if you're questioning
if it's to save someone's life, I guess you're right. Yeah, but I just think I don't know.
Why didn't they? Here's another quick question. Why didn't they just let Steve Buscemi go and do it?
What? Because he's mad.
He's like, oh, I want to do it. I want to live for something. And they're like, well, you're fine. You're useless and you're a paedophile.
But he can't be trusted, can he?
Well, you think his space dementia might
he might just fucking detonate it straight away. Or like, just go, I'm not going to do it, actually. Yeah. I'm going to ride the asteroid into the Earth because that would be funny because I have space dementia.
Spaced. Cured immediately.
Yeah, well, that is the cure for space dementia, is to
get out of space.
Yeah. Here's a survival tip.
Yeah.
Don't live in any cities that are recognisable to casual movie-going audiences, as without fail, these cities are the ones that are destroyed in major cataclysms. So I'm thinking New York, I'm thinking Paris.
Yeah.
They both get destroyed in Armageddon. They're probably the two most recognisable cities in North America and Europe, you'd say. Possibly the two most recognisable cities in the world. Similarly, in other blockbusters, you've got...
The Taj Mahal is always a big target.
Yeah, exactly. London, New York, Los Angeles, and specifically the Hollywood Hills. Shanghai.
Yeah.
All these sorts of places. Anything that shoots well, basically.
Yeah.
Anything that looks good on camera, don't live there.
Anything that would be on a postcard.
If you're one of these people who's on Instagram and you're going, like walking home, look at this, amazing. I'm going to take a photo of it because I live in such an amazing city. Get out of there now. It's your it could be what saves your life.
Move to Port Talbot or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You never, you laugh, but you never see an asteroid hitting Port Talbot.
No, you don't. No. That is apparently the inspiration for Blade Runner, because that's where Ridley Scott's from.
Right.
So don't live in Port Talbot if you want to avoid a future where replicants might take over the world.
And you rarely see a rural or countryside setting being destroyed other than Twister. So as long as you stay out of the American Midwest, then you'll be fine. So just go to move to Newport or Port Talbot or
Gosport.
Gosport, exactly.
Yeah. Many of the places. Chippenham. Nothing ever happens in Chippenham.
No. Chandler's Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about like St Kitts or like Jamaica?
Winnersh.
Yeah.
The Winnersh Triangle.
Yep.
Yeah. Wokingham.
Isle of Wight.
Yes. All good options.
Yeah. You've just gone for the Reading line to Waterloo, haven't you?
Yeah, basically.
Anywhere on there is fine.
It's basically all of the towns that David Brent says he's been to when he says about the world being his oyster. All right, one final one from me. If you work in a dangerous profession, then seduce and marry your boss's daughter. Now, admittedly, this is a risky scenario.
Well, if he's got a
depending
son,
on his psychology and the line of work, because you wouldn't necessarily want to seduce and marry, a drug dealer's daughter.
No, exactly.
Or someone who's a violent sociopath, even more so than Harry Stamper.
He doesn't get much. I mean, he didn't actually kill anyone on screen.
No, but the reason it works here is that Harry's got a heart of gold, really, hasn't he?
Right, yeah.
It's just buried within a chest of coal.
Yeah.
And despite him attempting to murder AJ in the opening scenes, it's basically what saves AJ's life, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand. Question, what if your boss doesn't have a daughter?
Does he have a son?
Are you gay? Like, you'd have to enter into a sham marriage.
I'm just... this isn't called How to Have a Fulfilling Marriage, this podcast, is it? It's called How to Survive, and that's what I'm trying to do. But thank you and good night.
He wins them over because they're in love.
And good.
You'd have to...
Goodbye.
You'd have to lie to the poor
I said good day to you, sir.
Lure him in.
I said good day.
All right. What if he doesn't have any children?
Well, seduce and marry the boss.
Now, obviously... Liv Tyler, Grace, is everywhere, isn't she? She's everywhere.
Grace is everywhere if you just open your eyes to it.
Yeah. Now, Bully Bill Thornton had a great line in the film.
Bully Bill Thornton. Bully Bill Thornton. Yeah. Sorry, no. Bully Bill Thornton had a good line. Yeah, sorry, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt. My apologies. Tell me what Bully Bill Thornton said.
Pretty sure I said it right.
I don't think you did.
Bully Bill Thornton, 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 Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Had a great line in the film.
Yeah.
Where he said to Liv Tyler, maybe you shouldn't be here. Correct.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. Get her. She's not helping.
Yeah.
She's hysterical.
It's true.
She's like dragging people to the ground.
I think you've been watching too many Michael Bay movies, mate. Calling women hysterical now when they're just showing emotions.
Oh, man.
What a great film. And what a great podcast it's been.
It's been a long one.
Yeah.
Worth it though. Next week, another end of the world thriller.
Yeah. A little bit different.
Yeah. Deep Impact.
No. Although that was floated as a suggestion.
Yeah.
But no, funnily enough, they're a bit too similar. Armageddon and Deep Impact.
So instead we're going for Steven Soderbergh's Contagion.
Yes.
In 2011.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's available on Amazon Prime Video. And it is a very good film.
Yes. And we'll leave it at that. It's good. See you next week. But in the meantime, if you've got any thoughts on how you'd survive in any of the films we've mentioned, or anything we've said about Armageddon, maybe you were offended by our criticisms of it.
Maybe you're Bruce Willis.
Yeah, do get in touch if you're Bruce Willis, or if you're anyone else and you've got thoughts.
The story about Bruce Willis on the set of one of the later Die Hard sequels, and there was a creative disagreement he was having with the director, and it got to the point where Bruce Willis said, "Oh, it's interesting that you're insisting on doing it this way. Tell me, who's your second choice for John McClane in this film?" Great. Oh. What a man. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com, Bruce, if you're listening. Yeah. Or you can tweet us at HowToSurvivePod. I doubt he has Twitter, but maybe he's a YouTuber. And in that case, he can go to youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. Next week, episode 135.
And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, whether you're Bruce Willis or Liv Tyler, or any of the other fine people who make up the fine cast of Armageddon, Bradley Thornton's, let us know what you think of it by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. And we'll see you next week for episode 135, Contagion. It's catching on because it's about a disease.
Yeah.
Well,
top stuff.
Not the end of the world, is it?
No, you did that joke, yeah.
Yeah, it's come full circle.
Great. Like the Earth. It's come full circle like the Earth. Doesn't work. It's a sphere. See you next week. Now, let's hear what you thought about Darkest Hour.
It's fucking shit, right?
Right.
It's absolute. It's like, you've watched Downton Abbey, right?
Never religiously, but I've seen the odd episode, I suppose.
And you know how it's got this little kitsch, like this would have been so lovely. It's like it's nostalgic for a thing that never existed, basically.
Right? Yeah. Wasn't the world so lovely?
Exactly, right. And Darkest Hour, you'd suggest, would be something. I was expecting it to be like Downfall, the movie about Hitler's last days, where it's like in a bunker, like shot in just like natural light, which is to say none, and just like depressing and hopeless, which is what the story is meant to be showing. Right, the country is about to be invaded by the Nazis, and no one trusts Churchill to get the job right. And there's such an opportunity to have it as his darkest hour because he was battling depression and alcoholism and all his inner demons and his doubts and stuff. And they touch on all that, but it still comes out feeling like Harry Potter because it's like it's scored like the King's Speech or something,
right? Where
there's no stakes.
There's like upping the novelty factor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like Winston Churchill's wife in the movie is like. I don't know, like she's like Florence Foster Jenkins in that movie. She's just like a Pollyanna who's like, oh, Winston. But like
it's Kristen Scott Thomas, isn't she?
Yeah. It's like, don't get me wrong, like her character has some depth. She's the one who's like tells him you can do this or you're doing this wrong, right? But it's still like not a believable pairing. It's not a believable like all the conversations that supposedly happen feel like they're dramatized by the most fucking like flag waving Rule Britannia person ever.
My parents went to see it and my dad said, there's this great scene where Churchill is writing a letter to a lieutenant on the front lines at Dunkirk, and he's explaining to him that he will not be rescued, and you see the soldier reading the letter and then he like looks up and then the camera like goes up through a hole in the roof into the sky and then a bomb lands on the house. And I just thought, that sounds so shit. That sounds embarrassing.
It's like, visually it's impressive. That there's some very cool shots that
some cool shots.
Yeah, there are. There's like it opens on Parliament and it's shot from above. It's like a bird's eye view of all the people like waving their stuff and shouting and stuff. Yeah. And it's like it's like chaos. And it is like if the whole movie was pitched like this, like level of like colourless anger and despair, it'd be great.
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, that scene you described is not the worst by any stretch. There were much worse scenes.
Oh dear.
But I can see why he won the Oscar. He does the most convincing portrayal of Winston Churchill you'll probably see.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. That's not enough.
I never get on board with actors like layering on the prosthetics.
Is that what it is? Because
yeah,
fat suit basically.
Yeah, well, it's facial prosthetics as well.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a bit of The Crown.
Yeah.
From where my partner was watching it, and John Lithgow as Churchill in that is like amazing. Yeah. He's fantastic. It's just John Lithgow. He doesn't need to look like Churchill because he just embodies,
Yeah.
He feels like Churchill.
Exactly.
Right?
He's a good facsimile.
He's got the
Churchill.
presence of Churchill.
Yeah.
Whereas I always think that maybe that's missing.
Yeah.
If someone's having to slap on the rubber face masks.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Did Frank Langella have that in Frost Nixon?
I can't remember.
The fake nose or something.
I don't remember. I don't remember him having a fake nose.
No.
Because I just remember him looking like Frank Langella.
Yeah. But that's how you should do it, because it's like if you was a play, you wouldn't be slapping on 5 hours of prosthetics every day, would you?
No.
And of course,
all films should be like plays.
Yes.